Good morning. All right, let's get started. All right, let's take a look at the bot just took a trade on something. It was pretty nice. So let's take a look at that real quick. RYDE. So fresh runner here in pre-market. And really, really nice move. It did have some news this morning. Morning, Scotty. Morning, Nugent. So at 5 a.m., Ride had news. Acquires 40% stake in Atoll to expand EV footprint in Singapore. So this didn't really pick up steam until about 8 o'clock. And then the bot picked it up. So simple strategy here for the bot, but it's buying pretty early over here. And then we got a really nice move. So now this strategy it's pretty much, it's going for anywhere between 30 and 100%. Just depends on how the chart plays out. So this one ended up doing 55%. So pretty nice move there. Now that could keep going, but the bot's not going to stick around. A lot of these just do round trip. But yeah, here's the trade. So pretty clean trade. Now that's the first time that strategy is hit, I think, this week. So pretty good win rate on that recently. So it's not easy for that to set up. It's looking for very specific kind of stuff. So, but that's the idea. Yeah, we also had the other strategy hit yesterday. I didn't do too much, so we had the same setup hit twice. So this is actually the first time this strategy hit since I made it. So it's been, it hasn't been that long. But same strategy on HUSA and RB&E yesterday. The charts basically look the same. So interesting how that works. But that's HUSA, that's RB&E. Basically the same setup. I mean, it is the same exact setup. The charts almost look identical. It's kind of crazy. And that's the first time this strategy is hit too. This one doesn't set up very often. So pretty happy with how that played out. So let's take a look at some pre-market stuff. I actually had let's see, I was short OP yesterday. I think, what did I short yesterday? No, it wasn't OP. I don't remember. It was it didn't really have follow through. But anyways, we made a little bit on that one, and then the bot just performed really good. So it looks like some of these oil stocks are dying. HUSA had an offering. It was a light offering, so yeah. So RB&E had an offering. I think I know HUSA had an offering. Let's take a look at Hustle first. We had a $2.3 million offering, so not a super bad offering. So offerings aren't great, but it's only a $2 million offering. So a lot of times with these offerings that aren't super, super heavy, they can reclaim because it's just not, it's not a terrible offering. Offerings usually aren't great, but if it was more like 100 million, then this thing would be obliterated. But since it's only 2 million, we could actually see a reclaim. And I think that's probably what's going to happen here with Hassa. It seems like almost every time we get a $2 million offering on something that's up like this, you know, the short sellers will pile in, and then the thing will squeeze all the way back up, and then it rolls over. So I'm not going to short it here, but we're going to take a look later and see if it can break out over pre-market highs. Maybe just check back in around 10 o'clock and see where it's at. But I wouldn't be surprised if this bounces back over 20, 21, 22 area before it rolls over. It probably is going to roll over now. Usually the offering is the top. So RB&E, yeah, another offering. So 4.5 million on RB&E. Kind of the same situation as Hassa, but a little bit worse. So this one probably just can't come back. But same problem. You know, it can bounce back a lot more than you think on these small offerings. So no rush to short these. I'd rather be late than early. So you got Ride, you got 73%. That's pretty nice. That is pretty nice. Yeah, and the thing is with a lot of these strategies is they're not difficult. You just have to be ready. Just got to be ready. There's a window of time where you have to execute. So if you're ready, then it's not super difficult to do. What's difficult is being ready at the right time. So it does look like the oil stuff is dead now. We'll see. I think this war stuff is potentially heating up. We'll see if the U.S. really gets involved or not. That seems to be the discussion right now. So if the U.S. gets involved, then things could really, really heat up. I think things have kind of been a little bit wild right now, but we're not exactly involved. The U.S. isn't really involved yet directly. It's just like Ukraine, right? We're just supplying everything, and we're not saying we're involved. But apparently, they want to do a bunker buster on Iran, and only the U.S. can do that. Israel does not have the capability. So in order to do the bunker buster, the U.S. will have to be involved, directly involved. Fordo, yeah, that's the one. I think it's a mile or two deep. And so they need a bunker buster to take it out. And that's one of those underground nuclear facilities they have. So we'll see what happens with that. But for now, it just looks like oil is dead. That was the latest hot sector. So possibly things cooling off a bit. We'll have to keep an eye out. But these offerings are pretty small. And, we'll have to see how those play out today. Honestly, they're probably dip buys right now. Probably dip buys. Let's see what else is running here. Hopefully we get some more sector momentum. PLTE. PTLE. No news on that. What is it? PTLE. Freight and logistics, Hong Kong. 26 million float. So a Hong Kong stock, that's kind of interesting because China wants to take Hong Kong. And now we're involved in a war sort of with Iran. So is China potentially going to strike? Oh, Hong Kong. Oh, yeah, you're right. It's Taiwan, not Hong Kong. I'm just wrong. Well, anyways, we know that the Taiwan situation could evolve. We are involved with Ukraine now and this Israel-Iran conflict. But yeah, you're right. This is Hong Kong and not Taiwan. Those are, in fact, two different countries. So this is China. There's no news on it. Most likely just a pump and dump. Yeah, the chart trades like a pump and dump. Yeah, I'll start spreading rumors if I'm not careful. So, okay, interesting. But I guess the takeaway from this one is it's freight and logistics. So, shipping, it's a shipping company. Now, shipping is another sector that could take off. So, we'll see if we get more shippers popping up. We saw some in the past couple of days. So it would not be surprising. Shipping is going to be impacted with the Iran conflict, Israel situation. So what does it ride? We need to make a shipping watch list. So let me I have a uranium watch list too. So uranium is another sector that could take off. So we're going to watch out for that too. But uranium, let me see if I have a shipping one. I don't know if I do. Probably don't. All right, so let's make one. This will be important if the sector gets hot. So PTLE, shipping. PTLE, all right. What is RIDE? So this is the one that Al traded this morning. They had the news at 5 a.m. So some sort of acquisition to expand footprint in Singapore. So there's some good news. And now the move is probably over at this point, but we'll have to see if it holds up. So we definitely want to keep that one on watch. And this is software. So this is a software company not shipping. It is Singapore, so nothing crazy here. Mission is to impact the lives of all riders and drivers. Okay, it's basically like it's an on-demand and scheduled carpooling and ride-hailing service. Okay. Keep that one on watch. APVO therapeutic, another therapeutic. What do we have? Gotta check these. Clinical activity, frontline, AML. Sometimes I just like to see how big of a study this is. How much funding do they have? You know, how many patients do they have? Things like that. Are they testing this on rats? You know, did they do a 10 rat trial, or are they doing a 100 per human trial? That's mainly the things I'm looking for. Announced new clinical data, phase 1b2. A bunch of nonsense. Okay, myeloid leukemia, who are unfit for chemotherapy. So it's probably an early phase trial. It's a phase 1b2. I don't see how many patients they had and all that. So it's probably 1 or something. So it's probably just a round tripper. It's done this many times before. Why would this time be any different? So we've had 1, 2, 3 round trips in the recent history here. And this might be number 4. Might be number 4. Good for the early shorting strategy. So if you like early shorting, this is the thing to hit. I don't do that yet. All right, what else? LSE, this is an energy stock. Energy's been hot, so this is another energy stock, LSE. 1.5 million float. Probably just in a void, but that's kind of a newer chart. Looks like the IPO was in 2024. Let's see, is that right? Yeah. So kind of a newer chart. So a little bit of resistance on it, but if it can take out these levels, then this is like potentially a huge breakout. It's got some work to do though. It is over one of the levels, so if it can push 15 bucks, then there's zero resistance on the chart, and it's a low float. So it's the kind of thing that can really get going, but we'll keep an eye on it. It is energy. Energy is hot right now, so this could become the new energy leader in small caps, potentially. We are going to want to keep that on watch. Let's see here. LSE. All right, let's wrap up these gainers, gappers. Rally, what do we have? Global something. Any news on this? We did get news. Signs letter of intent to sell Fortman Insurance for $5 million in cash. Okay, we have low float, 2.8 million float. It's insurance out of the US. Pretty dilutive stock. I don't know if there's any recent dilution coming, but historically it's been pretty dilutive. A lot of these are, but yeah, holy cow, look at that. So this thing was, the adjusted price is $18,000, so it's just been diluted over and over again. But you know what? It's had a split. They keep splitting it and then pumping it back up and diluting it again. That's the cycle over and over again. Not a bad look for a short. Again, though, I like the clear outs, so I'm not going to step in front of anything too easily. So I end up missing a lot of stuff, but then I also don't get blown out. But yeah, that's definitely worth a watch. Insurance, dilutive stock, looks like a short. Of course, everyone's going to be trying to short it, so we'll keep an eye on it. Wait for the squeeze. All right, that's going to be it. BDRX, maybe we get our bounce short on later. We'll have to keep an eye out for that one. Relly is looking like the most obvious short. LSE, this definitely a good one to keep an eye on. So we'll see how this plays out. APVO is probably just going to fade. All right, 3 minutes to the bell. All right, Nugent trying a short on PLTR. Let's take a look at that. PLTR. So PLTR is like a intelligence sort of war stock. Looks like it hit all-time highs yesterday. I see this short-term trend break. Could have a little pullback here. Right, SRM is what I tried to short yesterday. Yeah, I didn't like how this opened. It was a nice gap up short, but it was weak out of the gate, which I don't do great on those. So I took the second leg down on it. So for today, I don't know. It's going to have to, not really in my playbook for today. Probably mainly watching these oil stocks with offerings to see if they bounce, and then I'll look for some kind of bounce short. And I'm looking for the shipping sector to pop. I want to see if it can hold up, see if it can start to run. Maybe find another battle type trade for an overnight swing. See, KWE is looking like a almost an owl setup. This is a pretty early runner. Halted up now. Recent split. RBNE is bouncing off of that offering. Probably should just dip by these. Halt it up. Called that. It's probably going to bounce and then become a bounce short. Same with Hussa. Might as well play the dip by too. Apple seems like it's trying to break down through this huge wedge. Tesla's bouncing a bit. Nothing I can really touch right here. Trying a little dip buy on RB&E. Little late to the party, but I think it can go. I think it can push $10 at least. Should be in at $8. But here we go. This is nice. I got 916 entry on it. Just sold half. Just small position here. Just playing this bounce, chasing it a little bit. But I do think it can push 10 or 11. And I'm looking to short it into the bounce later. All right, out of that, right around 10. These can bounce more than you think. Hussa also bouncing. But really the entry is it should be over here. Reclaiming a moving average like this, and people think after the offering it's going to die, but the offering is not that bad, actually. Not that bad of an offering. So it kind of sucks the shorts in, and then they all get squeezed out. So Indo's the only stock that hasn't, well, the only oil stock that hasn't had an offering yet. It's looking very liquid now, but it is still holding its gains, still holding near the highs. Potentially could break out. Yeah, this is looking like a potential major breakout still. It's all going to hinge on this Israel-Iran conflict and if the US gets involved directly or not. I mean, this is pretty interesting looking breakout setup. It will still probably need a catalyst. Probably wouldn't be a bad idea to buy dips on this and just swing it for a week or so and see what happens, but kind of hinges on this catalyst, I think. If things get resolved, then this probably just goes back down. If it escalates, this is almost certainly going to break out. And if it breaks out, it's going to 10 or 15 bucks. All right, Apple's holding trend for now. Pretty major wedge on Apple. So far, just holding trend. Threatened to break down a little bit, but reclaiming, no problem. Wow, KWE halted up, moving higher. Al didn't like this one for some reason. I gotta look into it. It seems like it should have traded it. But it didn't. That one was nearly an Al trade. CoreWeave is going to be one to keep an eye on. CRWV. Big cap. Recent IPO. And totally out of control here. It looks like extension from 40 bucks to 168. Since April. Definitely in play. And I'm working on the signal to call out some of these trades here on TOS. So this was a nice buy signal right here on CoreWeave. So I had a short into a long signal. And the long had nice follow through. The short wasn't too bad. It wasn't too bad of a cut there. Let's see, a couple long signals here from yesterday or the other day. Nice short signal right here on the 11th. So we're going to be playing with that and trying to get that dialed in for the big caps that are in play. We have a signal on Tesla this morning at 9:40. That one's working. And yesterday we had a short signal, which worked too. Nothing I can do in small caps right now. Just had a scalp on RBNE from 916 to 10. Oh, APVO coming back up. Micro float on this. Scary short. All right, Al just bought SRM 772. Al is supporting the bid. This one was crazy on the 16th. Pretty insane day on it. 200 million volume. 250 million shares traded. about $1.2 billion traded on the 16th. That's what we like to see for the strategy. We want to see a big day one move. You could imagine people thinking, hey, this is up way too much. On day one, it's an obvious short. You know, it's a junk stock. It's going from $1 to $10, almost $11. It's going to come down. So it's the most obvious short in the market. But then if it doesn't go down easy, then where's it going to go? Everybody's got the same idea. So hopefully this gives us a nice squeeze. We'll see if we get follow through on that one or not. I never expect these to work, but then a lot of times they work. Scotty out NVAC swing. Yeah, that was unfortunate. I kind of feel like the whole war situation threw off my swing ideas. UNH is still hanging out. I'm not back in yet. But I cut my drone swing too. It just seems like the drone sector died. Not looking like SRM is going to give us follow through. But if it hangs out for a while, it can still work. Just like RB&E yesterday. Same exact setup, but RB&E had this pop. Looked like it was going to die, and then ended up holding a dip. And then ripping really nice. Dumped most of your swings this morning. Yeah. bad idea. Just feels like everything's so shaky right now with the war. We're starting up another 2-week war. We're still running the last 2-week war, so I was kind of hoping that things would dip pretty hard into the war news, and then I was gonna load the dip. So maybe stuff just hasn't dipped yet. Maybe there's an escalation coming or something. And if it just ends, then things probably just continue to work as expected. I'm just kind of surprised that even the drone stocks are weak. And now oil's kind of weak. But it depends on how long this conflict is and the escalation that happens. Indo really looks like it could become a wild breakout. It's basically 660 area is the breakout level. From all the way back over here on April 24, that is the high that we got to get by to really break out. And it's testing it. Tested it once, and now we're kind of hanging out near the high. So the longer we hang out, the more likely this is to break out. But I think we do kind of need a catalyst. We need to, something needs to happen for this to really break out. It's a pretty impressive move. Plus, it's already gotten up there a couple times in the past. So it's going to be a major watch for a breakout. I just don't know if it has the steam in it yet, but it is threatening. Huge rebound on Apple. For now, Endo's kind of a liquid and not super interesting, but still on watch. Apple ripping back up. Holding the trend line beautifully. Pretty incredible. All right, SRM still hanging out, deciding if it wants to squeeze or not. You can imagine if you're short, if you're a swing short, right, from yesterday, you're underwater. You're basically just underwater right now. See you, Scotty. Have a good one. And if it starts grinding higher, more shorts are going to get scared out. So it's got to have loads of shorts in from the 16th. People love to swing short this stuff. So we'll see. The longer it hangs out, the more likely it is to start working really good. APVO looking like it wants to absolutely demolish the short sellers today. Trump says on striking Iran's nuclear facilities, quote, "Nobody knows what I'm going to do." End quote. Trump said Apple is going to buy a lot of Trump gold cards. Maybe that's why Apple's popping like this.
Questions about whether you are moving closer, or you believe the U.S. is moving closer to striking Iranian nuclear facilities. You are moving closer, or you believe the U.S. is moving closer to striking Iranian nuclear facilities. Where's your mindset on that?
I can't say that, right? You don't seriously think I'm going to answer that question? Will you strike the Iranian nuclear component? And what time exactly, sir? Sir, would you strike it? Would you please inform us so we can be there and watch? I mean, you don't know that I'm going to even do it. You don't know. I may do it. I may not do it. I mean, nobody knows what I'm going to do. I can tell you this, that Iran's got a lot of trouble, and they want to negotiate. And I said, why didn't you negotiate with me before? All this death and destruction. Why didn't you negotiate? I said to the people, why didn't you negotiate with me 2 weeks ago? You could have done fine. You would have had a country. It's very sad to watch this. I mean, I've never seen anything like it. It's so, everyone thought it was going to be the reverse. I didn't think so. And I was telling them, you gotta do something. You gotta negotiate. And at the end, last minute, they said, no, we're not going to do that, and they got hit. Remember 60 days, and then came the 60. 61 is going to become a very famous number. That was one hell of a hit. That first hit, that was one hell of a hit. Not sustainable, to be honest. That's where it ended. It ended on the first night. Yes.
Is it too late, though? Do you think it's too late to now?
Really, nothing's too late. The only thing too late is Powell. Powell's too late. Too late, Powell.
Have the Iranians reached out to you, Mr. President?
What?
Have the Iranians reached out to you?
Yes.
And what did you say?
I said it's very late. I said it's very late to be talking.
Mr. President,
We may meet. It's. I don't know. There's a big difference between now and a week ago, right? Big difference.
Too late, Powell. He's always late, never on time, always late. Ooh, Scotty had a nice trade. Nice. Dip buy, sold into resistance. Beautiful trade. All right, SRM low volume looks like it's not really picking up, but it still has a chance. Still has a chance. I didn't think RBNE was going to work yesterday, but it did eventually. So hopefully SRM can hang out. We'll see. I guess it's going to fail. I would guess it's going to fail.
No, they had bad intentions. For 40 years they've been saying death to America, death to Israel, death to anybody else that they didn't like. They were bullies. They were schoolyard bullies. And now they're not bullies anymore, but we'll see what happens. Look, nothing's finished until it's finished. You know, war is very complex. A lot of bad things can happen. A lot of turns are made. So I don't know. I wouldn't say that we won anything yet. I would say that we sure as hell made a lot of progress. And we'll see. The next week is going to be very big. Maybe less than a week. Maybe less. But is there anybody here that said it would be okay to have a hostile, very, zealots really, but to have a hostile country have a nuclear weapon that could destroy 25 miles, but much more than that, could destroy other nations just by the breeze blowing the dust. You know, that dust blows to other nations and they get decimated. This is just not a threat you can have. And we've been threatened by Iran for many years. You know, if you go back and look at my history, if you go back 15 years, I was saying we cannot let Iran get a nuclear weapon. I've been saying it for a long time, and I mean it more now than I ever meant it.
That's right, you gotta listen to Mr. T. He's my stock analyst.
What do you say to the Supreme Leader of Iran who says that they will not surrender?
Say good luck.
And what is the end game?
What do you say to the Supreme Leader of Iran who says they will not surrender?
Say good luck.
And what is the end game?
Say it. It's already run out. That's why we're doing what we're doing. Yeah, they had 60 days and a big, 60 days, plenty of time. And they made a mistake. Honestly, they made a mistake. Their country's in ruins. So many people are dead that shouldn't be dead. It's a very sad thing.
What do you say to the Supreme Leader of
Yep, good luck. It's gonna show him a picture of his house next. Yep, an easy target. Yeah, it's pretty crazy. All right, not too much I can do. We're just hoping SRM holds some sort of dip here. May or may not. Could definitely just roll over. I do want maybe a bounce short still on Hussa, RB&E. Nothing amazing though. just tough. Tough to trade it right here. RELI threatening a trend breakdown. We'll see. Going to keep an eye on that one. Hopefully it bounces here and we get more of like an afternoon breakdown. Ride is bouncing pretty nicely. That could have been a play for a dip buy. But all right, we're going to call it there. I got to get going. Going to keep an eye on those. Good luck. We'll be back tomorrow.